So shall I start?
Yeah, Paul.
To everyone here at this conference, my sincere greetings and best wishes. Today, I, Paulini Mishra, representing the School of Education, Aramis University, takes immense pleasure and pride to welcome among ourselves Professor Dr. Kindai Abeja Lakhi. At present, Professor Lakhi is the Dean of the College of Education at the University of Gondar in Ethiopia. He is a renowned speaker at the international conferences and has been a resource person for many training programs in Ethiopia and many other countries, including India. He published 83 research papers in international research journals and authored 20 insightful reference books. 33 students were rewarded PhDs in education under his guidance. His current research interest is on the impacts of leadership, specifically academic leadership, for improving the quality of education. Professor Lakhi is a reported member of advisory committees at agencies like the Red Cross, UNESCO, UNICEF, and UNDP. He is also an advisor to the Ministry of Education in Ethiopia. I now request Professor Lakhi to offer his wise insights and educate us on the subject effects of overdependence on technology. Sir.
Thank you very much for your compliments, and I am very much indebted for Adamas University in India inviting me to talk on over dependency of technology. So I can start now, just not by saying on the disadvantage of technology. Of course, we are trying to complain on the disadvantage, but we shouldn't forget about the benefits of technology. Is it my sound is audible there?
Yes, sir, you're audible, sir.
Okay. Again, I just appreciate Adamas University for inviting me to talk about the topics, and I promise I will just have some other, invitations from the university. Actually, Professor George just communicated to talk on this topic. I'm happy, but I was in a hurry to just visit your country, India. After 6 days, I will be in New Delhi, so that I was a bit busy, but just I should have to respect the invitation from Advance University. So I was in a hurry to prepare this talk, but it may not be detailed, so that you should have to understand me that I'm preparing this talk just while I was in a hurry to visit India. And yeah, it is important to note that technology is, one of the main drivers of human achievement. Life is better with technology. We shouldn't just deny this one. We shouldn't deny this one. It allowed to free people from any, physical and labor, uh, you know, uh, it is just we human beings are greatly assisted by the advancement of technology, by the advancement of technology. Technology is the whole reason that we are being productive with in our communication, in agriculture, in any aspects of in any sectors. Just we should have to recognize technology is the sole reason that we human beings are advanced. And what is difficult, we are deeply immersed in this technology. It is not the fault of technology, rather it is the fault of human beings. We are just solely emerged in the technology, so that today we are going to see why we are totally immersed, and even what is the mitigating factor that we should have to just get out of this, over dependency of technology. Technology has, as I given you, has a lots of advantages. However, it is evident that technology can be, overused. So the disadvantage of technology is because we are over and overused by human beings, and we are at the day of paying that price. So although technology is profoundly changing the conditions of our lives, uh, it is also bringing us to just our life in a hostage of danger. Thus, humans have become too reliant in technology, which is damaging them in a wide ways. This dependency on phones and computers impacted our lives negatively. Technology plays a major role in our lives, and most of us may hard to remember even you know we can't remember time, we can't remember phones, we can't remember very simple issues and simple things without looking at our phones or our calendar. So we are totally dependent on the technology. We can use our mind, we can use our mind, and but because we depend on totally on the technology, we can't just use the mind or the mental activity which is given by God. While technology it certainly makes our life easier and more comfortable, however, too much dependency on it will bring us health problem and mental problem. So today we are going to talk about what is the problems that human beings are immersed and in danger because of the over usage of the technology, because of the over usage of the technology that we are suffering. First and foremost, it has led us users to be completely engrossed in their devices. We are for at social communication because our friends and our relatives and our parents became our phones and our computers. Even there is, a word called nomophobia, which is a person is actually fear of losing our being away from our phones. Even when we go to sleep, when we go to our bed, if we forget our phones and computers, especially our phones from, salon or from different, classes of our home, we regret and we feel that we missed something. So we are in a fear when we are away from our phones. And we call it is a kind of nomophobia. We fear just being without, phones. Well, even if we are not addicted, technology can have an impact on our mental, physical, and emotional health and well-being. The very important message that I should have to transfer or transmit here is that technology by itself, it is not just, technology is bad when it is not, addicted. Even though we are not addicted, technology have harm our lives in different ways, mentally, physically, emotionally, and in our health well-being. You heard about the screen race, which harms our sleeping pattern. And when we sit a longer time in our computer, we will be become physically. And when we just spend a lot of time in our computer, we are going to be poor emotionally. It is not only being addicted to the technology that harms our body or our physical or mental well-being. Rather, just it has a disadvantages by itself. From causing stiff neck to heightened anxiety, technology has spread through all aspects of our lives. And if not used moderately, technology can really harm us despite all its benefits, ultimately by making us too dependent on it. So that today's presentation should have to be focused that we should have to use technology moderately. Moderately. We can't live without technology. By this time, by this era, technology or having technology or usage of technology is a must. But it should have to be used moderately. Moderately. Uh, at the beginning of the 20th century, there were many ways that people could be entertained. So how our entertainment is affected by the technology, by this technology, how the technology affected our entertainment. In the 20th century or before 20th century, people will entertain by, for instance, dancing, live events, amusement parks, or simply, playing games like, balls or other just games which just demanded our physical activity. And that developed, friendships. We were, playing games with neighbors, with friends, with parents, so that demands, our physical activity. We can just burn lots of calories when we just play games. But nowadays, we may just entertain differently, you know. We're watching movies and spending time on social medias. It seems a kind of entertainment, but it is a very passive entertainment. The way we entertain ourselves these days has changed dramatically since phones, computers, and similar technologies have been interwoven into our lives. When after these technologies just appeared to our lives, the entertainment has been changing. We feel that we entertain when we just passed lots of time in front of television, computers, and phones, but we call it is a very passive entertainment which didn't request, the physical and mental activity because everything is just ready-made there. When you see the television or when you just seen the TikTok videos, everything has finished so that it doesn't require our mental and physical activity. So it is a kind of, a kind of passive entertainment. And at the same time, it doesn't just give us a kind of social interaction. We can't ask, we can't talk. Even we are confused with the movies that we are watching in Netflix or in TikTok, we don't have a chance to just pose questions. So it is harmful emotionally and socially. The type of entertainment we get from technology today is very passive, as I told you. This could be, anything from binge watching, movies in Netflix. It does not require much effort. It is passive entertainment. Even we are sitting together, just as you see in this picture, all the families have their own, independent entertainment. Here they don't have a kind of, lab to share. Just they are independently watching movies or whatever social media they are focusing, the father, the mother, and children. So there is no social interaction. They didn't get, the love from their father and their mother. And as I told you, there is no physical and mental activity here. Even they are living together. So they are father and mother and they are parents, but there is no interaction. There is no love among them. So our entertainment is totally changed. And we are in danger in just how we are grown up, how we are cultivating our generation, our children, even in entertainment, in the way we are just thinking that we are entertaining. The technology has also an effect on how we communicate. Back in day, people had to communicate primarily by talking each other in person. When we talk in person, there are, things which can be read from your face, your physical appearance, the emotion, the emotion. But when we communicate in just messages, emails, even videos, we are not sure what is happening behind the scene. The feelings cannot be just shared. Over time, technology gave us the unique ability to communicate with people where we are far away from us. That is a good thing. Yeah, that is a good thing. We are able to communicate here. I'm here in Ethiopia and you from India. It is miles and miles away. That is good. But we can't share the emotion. We can access, we can communicate clicks away, but it is not full. I'm trying to just talk about the disadvantages of technology, but here we can communicate through technology, but it is not full. If I had been in front of you in the classroom, the communication is full with an emotion. We can interact. We can make it active. You can understand me, and I can understand whether this lecture has gone wrong or has gone right. So we are just immersed and dampened with messages and texts and emails from social media. So our communication is still affected. That it seems that technology helps us to communicate easily, clicks away, but it is not full, and our communication is, it's a kind of, dumping messages. Is not full. And the other one, there is no denying that the fact technology has made it easy to talk or to have friends. We can be friends here. Yeah, I can have friends from Nepal, from America, India, while I am here in Ethiopia. But at the same time, many of us have forgotten how to interact with each other when we just without the device. I have friends, a lot of friends in India, in Nepal, and somewhere in the world. But if we meet just without the technology, if we meet in person, we may be unable to talk. So being immersed in technology, dependent in technology, just takes our ability or our brevity to just interact in person. We can't interact in person. We can't talk. And the other disadvantage, that affects, uh, our society is, you know, it has led an increase in instance like, cyberbullying. People are, especially teenagers have been affected and psychologically harmed because of the communication they have with, social media. So young people are in danger. For instance, according to Do Something Dot Wrong, about 37% of young people between the age of 15 and 17 have been bullied online. 30% of had it happen more than once. you know, because they have a communication and online communication, they are, affected and insulted. So they are psychologically harmed by the message they received from someone who just didn't know in person. In person. Sometimes when you just share, what you did, or even a picture of yourself in your Instagram or in Facebook, so the comment that is just given for that picture, or maybe that work, may affect your life. There are, comments which is positive, but sometimes, negative comments may affect. It's a kind of insult. So we may just receive a comment which affects our lives psychologically. So as a study, as you have seen here, just people, especially teenagers, have been just insulted and psychologically bullied with online communication data. So the technology has just affected our social interaction. Okay, what is important here is that we should have to know whether we are totally dependent on the technology or not. So by the following sentences, you can just assess yourself whether you are totally dependent or too dependent on the technology or not. If you just know that you are, dependent or totally dependent, you can just sit back and reevaluate yourself, the reliance of yourself on the technology. If you are wondering whether you are not, yeah, actually, the disadvantage, the difficulty of technology is that we are unable to know whether we are totally dependent or independent. Can we control ourselves just when we have, busy? For instance, can we just throw away my phone and can just focus on the work I have? This may tell us whether I'm totally dependent or not. The first thing is that nothing can be done without internet access. If we are totally dependent on the technology, we are totally done if there is no connection. For instance, let me tell you the story. Because of the political interaction and unrest here in my region, the government took all the connections, the mobile connections and Wi-Fi connections for 6 months. So during these 6 months, believe it or not, most of us did nothing. We were thinking about the world, what had happened to the world. We may think that the world is upside down. We don't know what is happening. There is no internet, there is no social media, there is no communication. We can't just communicate to friends for 6 months. Though we do have lots of books, we are unable to read because just we assumed that things just happened only on at social media. So that when there is no connection, nothing can be done without internet access. And the second one is we lose track of time when we are online. When just we did nothing without connection, I told you, but you will just lack your track, your focus when there is connection. You can calculate what you are doing by the whole day. Sometimes we just go to Facebook, and again we go to TikTok and Instagram, and we may just go to Google and search something, but we are not focused. If we are, too dependent on technology, we are just lose track. We are not focused to accomplish tasks. We can't accomplish tasks. The other one is we use calculators for simple calculations. For instance, if we go to mall or some shop, just even the shopkeeper will just use his or her phones to just know the changes that she will or he will give you back. And even you didn't trust what is the change is wrong or right or the correct change has you received, you may just took your calculation from your mobile. So because of this, because we are totally dependent, we use calculators and mobile calculators to calculate simple mathematics, and the other thing that whether you are dependent or totally dependent or not, you feel unhappy without connection. You feel unhappy without connection. Are you there? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are here.
Okay, you are listening, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. So without a connection, you will feel just unhappy. If you feel unhappy when connection lost, so you are too dependent on technology. And the other one is you are addicted to your mobile, you're addicted to your mobile phone, or you allow machines to dictate your responses and behaviors. And sometimes, you allow your mobile and even to just while we are just writing emails, we are allowing to just correct the spelling by grammarly or by other even it is simple alphabet or words. And the other one, you feel remorse every time you buy a new devices. And now iPhone 15 is released and Samsung 24 S24 is released, so you are regretting having Samsung 20 S23 or iPhone 14. When new things or new gadgets are released, we are just we may regret having the previous one. The update is very simple. Whether it may be a kind of a bit change, like Android updates. Nothing has. If you see, really, there is no difference between there is no a big difference between the Apple or iPhone 20, Apple 15 with Apple or iPhone 14. There is no a big deal. The amount of money is big, but people are just regretting having iPhone 14 instead of iPhone 15. So this is a kind of addiction. It's a kind of addiction. Nothing. Their difference is Android version difference, or a kind of simple difference. Maybe the camera, or very simple. And the other thing that whether you are addicted or not, or dependent or not, is you have a hard time disconnecting and focusing on present. We are not happy with the moment that we have. And instead of appreciating the present, even look, even we are going to a kind of tour
Hello,
or
darling. How are you? Yeah.
Madam.
sorry.
Student, unmute. Student, unmute yourself.
Math people. I would like to request students to mute their mic. Kindly
Okay.
mute their mic. Please check
Yeah.
yourselves and mute yourselves. Madhurima, I would request Madhurima to mute herself.
Yeah. Thank you. The other thing that you can just evaluate yourself whether too dependent on the technology is, look, when we go visit, when we go a kind of picnic, with families, we are not enjoying the present moment. Rather, we are just recording videos, taking pictures. So we are wasting time in just for the memory we will have, rather than living and enjoying the present moment. That is a kind of addiction. That is a kind of, over dependent on the technology. And the other thing is, you don't have even just, the difficult thing is we can't memorize even the numbers and emails of our beloved ones. Before, the creation of mobile phones, I remember I may have, the number of 50 or 60 individuals, line phones in my mind. I can remember and I can call from, the public phones without having the record on the paper. But after the invention, after the creation of mobile phones, we can't even just remember, the phones of the beloved ones. Sometimes I just encountered a man who didn't know the phone of his wife. So we are not using our mind. God just created everything to use it properly. But because of this technology, we can't use, our mind. And the other thing that whether you are totally dependent on technologies, you find it difficult to sleep. One thing, the ray or the light or the blue ray that in just from received that from your phone or from your laptop affects your sleep. And the other thing, you may just thinking about the movies that you have seen in Netflix while you are sleeping. You may revise. You may start revising that movie. Why that happened? Why the actor died? Why the actor is just separated or divorced his wife? So you are rewinding the movies that you have seen in Netflix so that your sleep is, disturbed. And the 11th one is you don't go enough, or you didn't go outside. You will not meet your friends. So socialization is dead. And the only friend you have may be your mobile phone. You don't care about your friends. Just you spend a lot of time at home or at office. And the other thing is you haven't been creative in a way. Yeah, you are allowed to create, you are requesting, even teachers and students are, depend on the technology. We are requesting the chat GPT to prepare, course outline, to prepare PPT. And the students have requested chat GPT to just do their assignments. They are requesting Bing to do their homeworks. And mathematical calculations have been just completely done by the apps created by somewhere. So both students and teachers are not using their mind. We are less creative because of the technology. And the other one is we are not able to have important and serious conversation in person. As I told you before, we have friends. We do have lots of friends abroad, outside the country. And we can have, longer chats, series of messages. But we are failed to have important conversation in person. We may feel shy. We are unable to express our thoughts when we meet with individuals in person. But we are just strong to communicate or to chat, even a person outside our country. And the other one is we feel like something missing when you don't have your phones. I'm sure, you know, we are just now in video conference. I'm not sure whether you have your phones or your computer, whether you are just attending this lecture properly or not. But we feel just that we are nothing when go outside without phones. We can't do that. We can't do that. We can't just go outside without our phones. But if we missed our phone at home, we feel nothing. We just we miss. We think that we missed a lot of things. One part of our body has been missed. So this is the sign of total dependence of the technology. And the other one is we have little concern for our privacy. Nothing is private in this technology era for most of the population. For most of us, nothing is private. We did post everything. We did post what we eat. We did post how we sleep. We did post how we just recreate. Everything is posted to Instagram, Facebook. We share everything to all in public. These are signs of total dependency on technology. So you can ask whether all these symptoms or some of the symptoms have been just recognized in your life. So that you can ask yourself whether all these symptoms or all these signs happened to your life, and you should have to ask and go away from all these symptoms. And actually, technology, as I told you, the impact of technology is being noticed in our life. We are affected physically, mentally, and emotionally. So we need to be careful. We need to be careful. As the result of total dependency or too much dependency on technology, we are suffering with anxiety and depression. We're suffering actually. I have seen, a study, especially from the world, people in Singapore and USA or America has just suffered with anxiety and depression. Actually, the happening is all over the world. It is happening all over the world. But the study shows that people in Singapore and America is seriously affected by anxiety and depression as a result of too dependence on the technology. Technology dependency has been linked to anxiety and depression, whether this comes from the fact that we are withdrawn from others. We become lonely. When we become totally or too much dependent on our mobile phones and computers or our social media, we finally just withdraw from friendships. We don't have friends. So we feel lonely, very lonely. And the other one is the pressure from social media. The bad comments we received from the posts that we share. It affects our, psychological makeup. We regret to post for the post. And the other one is, cyberbullying, insulting from social media. And very importantly, the phone screen, the Blu-ray just emanated from, your phone affects your sleep. So all of this is, taking it all on your mental health. All this affects our mental health, and finally we fall into anxiety and depression. And according to a study by University of Missouri, we found that if Facebook users experience envy of the activities and lifestyles of their friends on Facebook, they are much more likely to report feelings of depression. If there is no Facebook, if there is no Instagram or other social media, just we can live our lives. We don't bother, and we don't know how the American people, how the European people are living. But in Facebook and in Instagram, we have seen, beautiful cars, beautiful houses, and beautiful dresses. So we start to complain our lifestyle. We are ashamed of our performance. We are going to be unhappy by the life that we are leading. Because we have seen just lots of interesting and nice things in website, but we are unable to achieve. So the final result is going to be depression, unhappiness. And we are just eager to move from our country to the other countries, especially if African countries, African people. We are just migrating to Europe and America because we are envy of the activities and the lifestyle in Europe and in America. This thing is just very much dangerous and putting us in depression. And the other thing is, we're impatient because we can access everything at the hands or at the tip of our finger. We can't wait to see, our achievements. And we need a response immediately. Because people can be available and accessible at all time. This has led us to believe that people should be accessible and available at all time. We can't stand. We can't be patient. For instance, if we just give a phone call to our beloved ones, for maybe our father or our mother or our wife. So if we didn't receive a response immediately, we are going to just suspect something. Are they okay? Or is something bad happened to them? We are unable to just take time. We become, very much impatient. Messages maybe, takes years and years before the invention of this technology. So life had continued, yeah? Life had continued without the invention of this technology, especially messages. The message from India to Ethiopia may took, months or years, but life had continued. But at this time, if you didn't receive, if you didn't receive a response from your friends or from your beloved ones, especially the lovers, may just, feel frustrated. They don't have patience. And the very important thing that we all have to be care of is our memory is affected. Our memory is totally in danger because we are totally dependent. We are not using our mind. We are not using our mind. You know, when we do calculations by ourselves, by our mind, without the assistance of a technology, without the assistance of the calculator, when we do, you know, mathematical calculations with its steps, we are going to feel very happy, very happy. But nowadays, we may get the answer using the technology for the mathematical equations, but our memory is damaged because we are not using it. You know, when a thing is, you know, idle for a longer period of time, it's going to be decayed. Yeah, if you put something that you eat, for instance, if you just buy an apple, a single apple, and you put it in your maybe house or even in the refrigerator, it will be decayed if you didn't eat for a longer period of time. The same thing for our mind. We are not using our memory, so we, after years and years of dependency on the technology, we are going to lose our memory. When our age increases, just we may suffer that even we can't remember our families, members of families. Since technology have given the ability to use memory cards on a device storage or information, we have not been accessing our brain memory as much as we are capable of doing it. So this has a bad result for a longer time. And a study on brain in your pocket states that across 3 studies, they found that those who think more intuitively and less analytically when given reasoning problems were likely to rely on their smartphones, extended minds. So that means that we are unable to analyze, we are unable to synthesize things because of our dependency on mobiles and the technologies. We are not, an individual who is just have a strong reason. We can't give a strong reason or strong justification for things. Physical exercise is good to make a strong our physical ability, So the same is true for our brain. The same is true for our brain. If we are doing things by ourselves without the assistance of a technology, we are helping our mind just to be strong and to give a strong justification. At the same time, if we are just leaving our mind and depend on the technology, we are weakening our mental activity. So the other thing is addiction. Technology has increased the rate of technological addiction, which is characterized as uncontrollable urge. We are uncontrolled. We are unable to live without our computers and our phones. We are unable to just spend a day without watching movies. We are unable to just spend half a day without just checking our Facebook and our Instagram. So we are at the level of uncontrollable urge. We are dependent on the programs, apps, and platforms. So we call it, this is an addiction. This is an addiction. Just like cigarette, just like gambling, just liking, taking, harmful, substance like cocaine, Technological addiction is more common among teenagers, especially at the ages of, 12 to 18. They are addicted. They are not happy in the interactions with family. They are solely just depend on the mobile. That is why, nowadays scientists are urging that don't give phones for teenagers. They are urging people, under the age of 16 are not allowed to just have their own mobiles because even they can't, select, topics that goes with their ages. And the research have found that evidences that people have overused technology may develop similar brain chemistry and neutral pattern to those who are addicted to substance. Look, this is the result of addiction. It is the same. Your brain chemistry and neutral patterning is the same. If you are dependent on technology, your life will be affected like you are smoking, like you are gambling, like you are taking cocaine or harmful substance. And finally, this can cause or worsen anxiety, depression, and even play a role in suicide in extreme cases. Let me tell you a story in my country. We don't know the reason, but in our capital, Addis Ababa, a girl has posted on her Facebook, better to go. In Amharic, in my language, መሄድ ይሻላል, better to go. And after some time, she had just make a suicide. And about 4 or 3 individuals just following her. And they use it as a slogan. They posted better to go, and 4 or 3 individuals have been make a suicide. This is a kind of addiction. And the fifth one is a skill replacement. This is a total dependence on the technology, nothing else. We can learn a lot of skills from technology. It's obvious. We can have a very important courses online. We can have certificates from, huge universities, very recognized universities. We can start a business from scratch using, technologies. But sometimes we totally depend on, apps, platforms, and programs to do our tasks. And we give our skills to the technology. You give just the technology to calculate your sleep. You give the permission to track your physical activity. You give the permission to a certain app to track your physical activity. And you give a permission to calculate your water intake instead of knowing by yourself. This is a kind of a skill replacement. And actually, the last and the very important thing, especially for the third world countries like mine, the political ground is affected by technologies like social media and communication. Misinformation and false information have been spreaded and affected the democracy. The democracy. Different ethical groups have in clash or in disagreement with, a single post from a certain ethical group, and religious against religious, castes with another castes, because of, misinformation and false information posted in social media. So the exercise of democracy is, drastically affected by social media usage. Cyber attacks, cyber threats, impairs, you can remember that the previous president of United States, Donald Trump, the American people has just believed that President Trump has come to power because of cyber attack by Russian people. How much technology is affected our lives. Inappropriate individual or inappropriate person may come to power to lead a huge nation with a kind of cyber attack. And the other one is, in addition, many social media companies collect and sell your data without your explicit consent. This is actually very important, and you could remember the creator of Facebook has been, in a strong argument that Facebook explicitly just sells, the data without the consent of individuals. Even you can ask, questions. Why, they are giving us online storage? Yeah, Google gave us a free online storage about 15 GB online storage without payment. So what is, you can suspect something, that how Google will be benefited giving me a kind of, this amount of storage online. And even, TeraVox gave us a 1 tera online storage. It is too much, but we can suspect that what is the benefits they received from giving a free online storage. So our privacy is in danger. Social media have just given our privacy to someone. It's a kind of spy. They are complaining that the intelligence individuals like CIA have using Facebook for spying individuals. In other words, the technology comes with a host of political concern, which is primarily due to the fact that humans rely and depend on too much on technology. Because we are totally dependent, the technology has a political concern. In addition, users, instead of fact-checking, we are not checking the facts. If someone from our member, from our religion, from our, ethnic group posts something which is wrong, but we took it as it is without questioning, we are not on the way to just fact-checking. Without checking the fact, whether it's fact or wrong, we are using that data as it is. That's wrong. And the excessive reliance on technology for conducting political discourse puts democracy now at peril. It puts us in danger. Democracy is in danger. Even in this era, the governments have changed their plans and programs because of the post from some individuals who have lots of followers. Whether that program affects the livelihoods of the nation because of the wrong post, because of a kind of post in social media, the government has changed their plan, their program. Look how our lives are affected. So what is the why? How can we just get out of this independence? Is the question. How can our society will be benefited from technology by minimizing the disadvantage? Is the important question. How can we just be far from the technology? How can we just be benefited? Likewise, anything, modernization is a good way to not become too dependent. It's advisable to use the technology, but it has to be moderate. We should have to use the technology moderately for the good things. So to mitigate this, we need to find a healthy balance between technology and society. This could mean limiting the amount of time you spend on your phone. You should have to limit yourself. You should have to control. You should have to control the phone. And you shouldn't permit the phone to control you. You should have to use the Facebook as you want. And you should have to permit, you shouldn't have to permit the social media to control your life. Try to answer questions by yourself without searching on Google. Our confidence is, deteriorating. We are checking on the spelling. We just request the Bing to write motivation letter, which is simple to write by ourselves. So we should have to exercise this one, doing things by ourselves. Yeah, technology is a great resource. We can use technology in the classroom. For instance, the slide is showing the slide for students, a kind of resource. But we can have to put the skill, our skills. We should have to add our effort to that technology. And we must combine our learning how to navigate the requirement of academia and future profession without completely relying on the technology. We should have to use the technology, but we shouldn't have to just solely relying on that technology. Okay, this is all what I have. Thank you very much for your attention. I do appreciate your attentiveness.
Thank you, sir. It was extremely insightful and wonderful. Now, for any questions that the attendees may have, the floor is now open. You may ask. So we have a question from our fellow classmate, Manish. So he is asking, how does the overuse of technology in education affect the students' interpersonal skills and communication abilities?
Thank you very much for your question. Just as I did on my presentation, Yeah, we should have to use technology. The world is working with the technology, and I didn't advise that you should be away from the technology, but we need to be careful, not over dependence on the technology, even in the classroom. For instance, I advise teachers just to just not permit students to bring their phone in the classroom, so that everything in the classroom has to be managed by the minds of the students without the help of the computers and the mobile phones. So in this regard, we just can make a balance of our life between the usage of technology and the usage of our mental being in the classroom. So again, we have to use the technology. The world is working with the technology, but we should have to make balance. And being balanced usage of the technology needs to be exercised in the classroom with the help of the teacher. So the teacher has to manage the usages of the technology of the student in the classroom, and the students will exercise the classroom practice in even they are going outside the class.
Thank you, sir. So we have another question. What are the
Good.
potential consequences of students relying heavily on online sources without developing strong research and information literacy skills?
Yeah, this is a wonderful question. As I told you, there is a very dangerous consequence depending on the technology. As I mentioned, you know, the depression, the anxiety, even it is going to be an addiction. These are the general consequences of total or huge, dependency of the technology. But the question solely, what will be the consequence of the students? The consequence of the students if totally depend on the technology. This is the best question, because after graduating, we should have to develop, a kind of competence. After graduating, we should have to be developed a kind of competence that we are to use in our career. So if we are developed of a total dependency while we are a student, if we are totally dependent on the technology while we are a student, we are unable to deliver the best competence when we are appointed with a certain job. For instance, if someone invited to give a kind of speech or delivery, if he or she didn't develop that kind of skill and competence while she is or he is in a student, he or she is unable to deliver a kind of speech in front of individuals or in front of gatherings while he has or she has a kind of job. So dependency, over dependency of technology in while you are a student will affect your life while you have a certain career. So this is the best question.
Thank you so much, sir. Now, with all of us being enchanted and motivated, we have reached the end of this conference. I give Professor Lakyu my deepest gratitude for giving of his time and expertise to us today. I would also like to thank Professor Dr. Shamit Roy sir, our esteemed Chancellor, Professor Dr. Suranjan Das, our respected Vice Chancellor, our convener, Professor Dr. Shauli Mukherjee, and Professor Dr. Puvadu George Rajakumar sir, and Dr. V.R. Rajesh sir, the coordinators of today's event, for giving us such a wonderful platform to enhance and enrich our thoughts. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Chinde Abejalakyu, for your wonderful lecture. I'm very much happy and delighted with with your speech. I'm lucky to hear your words again, as I'm feeling that I was in Ethiopia, and I was I was feeling that I was just in the next classroom to your classroom. Thank you,
Thank
my
you.
dear. May God bless
Thank you,
you,
Prof.
and one day you will become the president of one university. That is my wish and will. Every day I'm praying God. Thank you very much. God bless you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
So much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.